So I was dead scared. I mean, I was in Hollywood for the first time. I was going up for a major MGM movie with Peter Ustinov and Michael York, and I'd just come out of the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Every actor has a role they can't escape. For Jenny Agutter, it's Jessica 6 from Logan's Run, not just for the performance, but for the disastrous costume she was forced to wear. While audiences saw a futuristic vision, Agutter endured a constant battle with an outfit that seemed designed to fail.
In a way, it does more than it did at that time. I went there very naively, with no idea of quite what I was going to do, and not in any sort of social scene of meeting people in the film industry.
We're pulling back the curtain on this cult classic to expose the story of the wardrobe malfunction that plagued the set, and why it still bothers the actress decades later. The wardrobe that wasn't. The man tasked with dressing this utopian society was Bill Thomas, an Academy Award-winning costume designer known for his work on epic films like Spartacus. For Logan's Run, Thomas envisioned costumes that reflected the society's themes of total freedom and sensuality. For the character of Jessica 6, he designed an outfit that would become one of the most iconic and infamous in sci-fi history. A short, green, flowing tunic made of a sheer, delicate fabric, held together precariously by small decorative chains. On paper, it was a work of art, perfectly capturing the vulnerability and aesthetic focus of the film's world. On set, however, it was a complete and utter disaster. What many overlooked is just how impractical this design was for an action film. Jenny Agutter wasn't just standing around looking pretty. Her character was a runner, fleeing for her life. She had to run, jump, and perform stunts. The costume, to put it mildly, was not up to the task. The sheer fabric was so fragile that it would snag and tear with the slightest movement. The delicate chains that were supposed to hold it all together would frequently snap, causing the entire outfit to fall apart at the worst possible moments. It wasn't a rare occurrence. It was a constant, daily battle. The crew had to resort to desperate measures, using things like double-sided tape and extra hidden fastenings, just to try and keep the costume on her body during a take. Agutter herself grew increasingly frustrated, feeling self-conscious and exposed. Her focus shifted from her performance to simply hoping her outfit wouldn't betray her in the middle of a scene. This wasn't just a wardrobe malfunction. It was a fundamental flaw in the production that turned a symbol of futuristic freedom into a source of on-set misery. She had been excited about the role, a chance to star in a big-budget American blockbuster. But the reality of wearing that costume day in and day out began to wear on her. She had to project strength and defiance as Jessica 6, all while fighting a very real battle for her own dignity against a piece of fabric that seemed determined to humiliate her. It was a difficult, frustrating experience that would forever link her name not just to a classic sci-fi film, but to one of the most memorable public costume disasters in movie history. The struggle with a single costume was just the beginning of the problems on set. The strain of utopia. You see, the battle with Jenny Agutter's costume wasn't just an isolated incident. It was a symptom of a much larger problem plaguing the production of Logan's Run: money. The film had an estimated budget of around $9 million. While that sounds like a lot, for a sci-fi epic with massive sets, futuristic special effects, and a huge cast, it was actually quite tight. The producers were stretching every dollar, and those budget constraints were felt everywhere, especially in the wardrobe department. Bill Thomas's ambitious costume designs were expensive to create, and there was very little money left over for things like durable materials or backup outfits. Agutter's infamous green tunic was a prime example. It was made from a delicate, specialized fabric that was difficult to work with and even harder to repair. There were very few duplicates made. So, when the costume inevitably tore, or a chain snapped during a physically demanding scene, the entire production would have to grind to a halt. The wardrobe department would scramble to patch it back together, often with quick, temporary fixes that were bound to fail again. This created a cycle of constant delays and mounting frustration. The thing nobody tells you is that a simple wardrobe malfunction can have a domino effect, costing the production thousands of dollars in lost time and adding immense pressure on the cast and crew. This high-pressure environment fueled by a tight budget and an even tighter schedule, began to create tensions on set. While the cast, including Michael York, who played Logan 5, remained professional, the stress was undeniable. York was supportive of Agutter, often trying to make light of the situation to ease the tension, but even he couldn't hide the fact that the constant interruptions were disruptive. For an actress like Jenny Agutter, who was trying to deliver a nuanced performance, having to stop repeatedly to have her costume taped back onto her body was more than just an annoyance. It was creatively stifling. It pulled her out of the character and made her feel more like a mannequin than an actress. What many overlooked is that these weren't the only on-set difficulties. The ambitious special effects, like the fiery carousel ceremony where citizens are supposedly renewed, were groundbreaking for 1976, but also incredibly complex and dangerous to film. The production used innovative techniques with lasers and holograms, pushing the boundaries of what was possible at the time. However, this experimentation often led to technical glitches and further delays, adding to the already stressful atmosphere. The pressure to create a visually spectacular film on a shoestring budget meant that corners were sometimes cut, and the actors were often put in uncomfortable or challenging situations. The entire production was a high-wire act, a constant balance between creative ambition and financial reality. The flimsy, failing costume was just the most visible sign that things behind the scenes of this perfect utopia were anything but. The director's grand vision was at odds with the actor's comfort. A Tale of Two Michaels. At the helm of this ambitious, chaotic production was director Michael Anderson. Anderson, already known for directing the epic Around the World in 80 Days, had a clear and uncompromising vision for Logan's Run. He wanted to create a visually stunning, thought-provoking film that was both a thrilling adventure and a cautionary tale about a society obsessed with youth and pleasure. He was meticulous, with an intense focus on every single detail, from the grand scale of the domed city to the precise color of a costume. It was this attention to detail that gave the film its unique and memorable aesthetic. However, it also sometimes led to clashes on set. Anderson's pursuit of perfection meant he was known for demanding multiple retakes, pushing the cast and crew to their limits to get the exact shot he envisioned. While this dedication is what makes a good director great, in the high-pressure environment of the Logan's Run set, it often added to the existing stress. For Jenny Agutter, this meant enduring the problematic costume for even longer periods as scenes were shot again and again. You see, a director's vision for a perfect shot doesn't always account for the physical discomfort of the actor inside the frame. While Anderson was focused on the flowing, ethereal look of Jessica's tunic, Agutter was the one dealing with the reality of it falling apart. Her co-star, Michael York, also faced his own set of challenges. The role of Logan 5 was physically demanding, packed with action sequences and stunts. York, who was initially hesitant to even take the part because he wasn't a huge fan of science fiction, threw himself into the role. But he too felt the pressure of the film's ambitious scale and limited resources. The relationship between the two Michaels, Anderson and York, was professional, but it was clear that the director's exacting standards created a challenging work environment for everyone. The immense pressure of bringing this futuristic world to life didn't just rest on the shoulders of the film's leads. The supporting cast was battling their own set of unique challenges, forced to navigate the same demanding environment. Take Richard Jordan, who brilliantly portrayed Logan's relentless pursuer, Francis Seven. His role was not just about delivering lines, it was an exercise in extreme physical endurance. As an antagonist defined by his physicality, Jordan was required to maintain peak condition, performing in strenuous chase sequences and fight scenes that were central to the film's action. The intensity of his performance was a direct result of the grueling physical toll the role demanded. Then there was Farrah Fawcett, who appeared in a small but unforgettable role as Holly. At that moment, Fawcett was a star on the verge of exploding into a global phenomenon with the imminent debut of Charlie's Angels. Her appearance in Logan's Run was a key part of her leap from television to the silver screen, and even in her brief screen time, she was not exempt from the film's daring aesthetic. She was draped in the same revealing and often impractical futuristic costumes that defined the movie's look. The movie wrapped, but the story of the costume was far from over. A cult classic is born. When Logan's Run was released in 1976, the critical reception was mixed. Some critics, like the legendary Roger Ebert, praised its spectacular visuals and wild imagination, calling it a vast, silly extravaganza, but found the story itself to be a bit thin. Others were less forgiving, criticizing the plot and dialogue. However, what no one could ignore was the film's stunning look. The futuristic sets, the groundbreaking special effects, and of course the costumes made a massive impression. Despite the mixed reviews, audiences showed up. The film was a financial success, grossing around $25 million at the box office, more than tripling its budget. The public was captivated by this dark, stylish vision of the future. And then, something interesting happened. As the years went by, Logan's Run began to transform. It went from being a moderately successful science fiction movie to a beloved cult classic. Fans were drawn to its unique aesthetic, its dark themes, and its campy yet sincere tone. It became a staple of late-night television and a must-see for any science fiction enthusiast. And at the center of this growing legacy was Jenny Agutter's character, Jessica 6, and her unforgettable green tunic. The costume, which had been a source of so much trouble on set, had become a powerful symbol of the film itself. It was instantly recognizable, a piece of sci-fi history. To put it mildly, this created a complicated legacy for Jenny Agutter. On one hand, the role had made her an international star. On the other hand, she was now forever associated with this revealing outfit and the story of its constant malfunctions. For decades, in interview after interview, she would be asked about it. She has spoken candidly about her frustration, acknowledging the discomfort and self-consciousness she felt. She once described the experience of wearing it as a nightmare, explaining that the constant worry about it falling off made it difficult to focus on her performance. The thing nobody tells you about Hollywood is how one single problem on a movie set can end up defining an actor's entire public image. For Jenny Agutter, the star of the sci-fi classic Logan's Run, that problem was a flimsy green tunic. The story of her wardrobe malfunction has since become a piece of Hollywood lore, a fun fact whispered by fans, and a trivia question at parties. But for Agutter, it was a constant reminder of a difficult, frustrating, and often humiliating experience. It was a shadow that loomed over her actual performance, reducing her immense contribution to the film down to a simple, salacious story about a dress that wouldn't stay on. She had poured her soul into the character of Jessica 6, bringing a powerful depth and a raw vulnerability to the role. She was meant to be a symbol of rebellion and humanity in a sterile, futuristic world. But for many viewers and even people on set, she became the girl in the green tunic that kept falling off. The world was fascinated by the juicy, behind-the-scenes drama, focusing on the spectacle of it all. Meanwhile, the actress at the center of it simply wished people would pay attention to the work she was so desperately trying to do. The battle for the soul of Logan's Run was over before it even began, and the victor was a single, disastrously designed costume that took center stage. So what's the ultimate takeaway from all this? Is it just a funny story about a badly made outfit from the 70s? Or is it a clue to something much deeper and more troubling? People watching this might wonder if this all happened by sheer accident, or if there was a key detail we are all missing from the picture. The truth is, this story is a perfect snapshot of a specific time in Hollywood. It's a window into an era where the visual spectacle, the flash and the bang, often trumped the comfort, dignity, and even safety of the actors involved, especially the women. Jenny Agutter's experience on Logan's Run wasn't just a series of unfortunate wardrobe malfunctions. It was a reflection of an entire industry that was still learning how to balance its grand artistic visions with basic respect for the people bringing that vision to life. It represents a power dynamic where a costume designer's or a director's idea of what was sexy or visually stunning was more important than the performer's own sense of security. It's a story that, much like the film itself, serves as a fascinating and ultimately a powerful and cautionary tale about the human cost of entertainment. So, was this costume disaster a simple mistake, or a calculated choice to make the film more provocative? Let us know your theories in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe.